Reason for that?
There is a reason for that. He is a All-American from NDSU, Bismarck High native, quarterback for the NDSU Bison, now coach for the Moorhead High School football team.
Kevin Feeney joining us now on the KFGO Morning Crew. Good morning to you, Kevin.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, it's a treat to visit with you, especially on such a week of NDSU and UND. And growing up in Bismarck, North Dakota, with a brother that played at UND, this has got to be really a great time of year for you, Kevin.
It is. It's an odd time of year. Usually this stuff should be happening in the fall, but you know what? We'll take this game anytime we can get it.
Doesn't it almost kind of feel, now that it's NDSU playing UND, it doesn't matter if it's an odd March? I mean, doesn't it almost feel like now we're back into the fall, Kevin?
Hey, it's bringing normalcy back, and anything that can do that's a fantastic thing. So you know what, like you said, it's a special time of year anytime this game is played, and I'm so jacked that it's going to be played every year from now on.
One of the things that I was curious about, Kevin, in different mediums and different people in the media, sometimes we talk about how some of these players now don't know what the rivalry is like compared to what it used to be with NDSU and UND. But your unique spot as a coach of players that have gone on to play, as a son that is going to the University of North Dakota after a father that played at NDSU, is this rivalry as intense?
You know what? Great question right now, but I do think it's going to take on a whole nother chapter, in this long storied battle. And I would definitely say the guys that are heading into this Missouri Valley for University of North Dakota probably don't know a lot about the rivalry. Obviously, the guys at North Dakota State, as they transitioned earlier to Division I than the University of North Dakota did, they kind of went away from that. But I do think as these programs continue to play each other every single year now that they're in the same conference, I think you're going to see a pretty strong presence, and it ain't going to take long for these coaches. And it's probably a lot more prevalent with the University of North Dakota because a lot of those coaches have gone through that and grew up through that. Where a lot of the North Dakota State guys, they haven't been here real long. They probably don't know a lot of the history of that. But I'm sure that they're getting kind of an earful all week from a lot of the North Dakota State alumni that are saying how great of a game this is. And it's great for North Dakota, and it's great for this region because, back in the day when I was playing and even long before I was ever at North Dakota State, this was the game of the year. And I think they're going to have a pretty fierce rivalry here coming up. And it ain't going to take long. I think you're seeing it right now with UND having the season that they're off to right now, and the respect that North Dakota State, I'm sure, has for them. It's going to amp this thing up pretty quick.
Kevin, and you're such a professional. I don't want to put words in your mouth. When I think back of the rivalry of UND, when NDSU was playing UND, and maybe you had some guys that you had competed with against in high school, did you just not like UND? Was there like a heated rivalry like off the field as well, Kevin?
There probably was with some of it. I think maybe I was in a little bit different situation, like you said, with my brother being there, and for 4 years, I was in Grand Forks every single Saturday that they were at home, and we were on the road with them. And, I was a ball boy at the University of North Dakota football games. And so, I think I had probably a little bit different perspective because I also knew almost every one of those coaches because they had been at our house. They had been in Bismarck for recruiting my brother, and you kind of just had developed a long relationship with those guys. So I think there was more of just a flat-out respect from my side of things because I knew how they did their business. But like you said, there was a lot of players that, whether they were in the state of North Dakota or in the state of Minnesota, Wisconsin, all these guys, your teammates would be like, oh, I played against this guy in high school, and boy, he was a really good player, or this guy was a, what. And so I think there was just a lot of similarities, a lot of program, similar. Just they were very, very similar back then and how they did things. And I think that's what you're seeing right now. And in listening to Coach Schweigert talk about the rivalry this year, you can tell he's excited about this because he knows what this does for this region and what it's going to do for the two schools.
Yeah, and you must be really torn. I know you mentioned all your connections up there to UND, and your son Trey is going to be playing football up there, and Otis Moorhead, one of your former players, having a heck of a season. You've got Brady Leach up there. Who are you cheering for this weekend, Kevin?
I've been getting that a lot this week, and that's a tough deal. But obviously, with Trey heading up that way, our allegiances are definitely going to be heading that way. And somebody said, well, he's not there yet. But, it's been such a goofy year that, as a normal football season, after our football season's over and Trey's signing there, we went up to the first game. Trey's been up to a couple games up there. And, he just keeps saying, it feels like I should be there already just because of the season going on, and he's already signed and it's already a done deal. But, we have Seth Anderson at North Dakota State that's currently playing on their roster too. And I tell you what, he's a whale of a football player, and he does things the right way. And Trey jokes that he's glad he's playing on the offensive side because those two were great friends in high school. And that's the type of stuff that people don't understand is as this game continues to play, there's going to be guys like Trey and Seth who have great, great friendships that are going to go to war against each other for a while. But I know after the game's over, those guys will shake hands, and it's the same thing with Otis. If anybody knows any, Bonnie, I know you know Otis really well, and that young man, I tell you what, it's not hard to jump on his wagon.
No kidding. Well, yeah, not only did he play for you, and he's having a heck of a season up at UND, I mean, you've been a major mentor in his life as well. You've got to be very proud, almost like a son.
You know what? Our whole family is extremely, extremely proud of Otis. Otis's story is the epitome of what sports can do for a young man. And, how he came to us here in Moorhead was a fantastic story. And, my wife has probably as much or more to do with Otis's success than I do. And so we're extremely excited, though. I can't say that enough. Otis is the type of kid who my youngest son, if it's his birthday, Otis FaceTimes him and makes sure he gives a big shout out to Jed every time he sees him, and same thing with Ellie. And he spent a lot of time at our house, and he's been at a lot of dinners at our house. And he's had some tough go about here to make sure he gets on the field. But I think what you've seen with his success is we knew he had that type of ability. The University of North Dakota coaches saw that in him in high school, and they really stuck with him through some tough times.
And I'm not sure you've answered my question on who you are pulling for, but I'll go a roundabout on you. Which team do you think is going to win on Saturday, Kevin?
Holy cow, that's going to be a great one. It's funny because, like I said, it's dominating all the conversations at school and in the community. And, I think it's going to be a heck of a football game. I think, the University of North Dakota has had such a quick rise. I don't think anybody expected them to have the type of beginning to the Missouri Valley as they are right now. But, I think they're playing a brand of football that leads to success, and that's the way they're playing is actually the way North Dakota State has won all those championships. They run the football real well. They play great defense, and their special teams have been really, really good. So I think, the formula is going to be the same. I think it's really going to come down to turnovers and who can actually establish that run, because both teams, like I said, up their front seven on defenses have both been so good in the past, and they're both playing really well right now. And so I think you've got a team in North Dakota that's probably saying, even though we're the team that's undefeated and beat a team that beat North Dakota State, they're certainly, I'm sure, putting themselves in there as the underdog because North Dakota State doesn't lose very often at home. You
bet. Well, we're looking forward to it. Glad the rivalry is back. It's going to be a lot of fun no matter which team I guess we're pulling for. Kevin, thanks for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me on.
You bet. That's Kevin Feeney, coach of the Moorhead Spuds high school football team. He was a former NDSU quarterback. Yes. Son Trey, his oldest child, is going to be playing up at UND next year. So a lot of great connections on both. Oh, what team do I cheer for? I think he's going to cheer for both of them. 7:48. KFGO Morning Crew, Bonnie Amistadi, Doug Leier. We head into the weather cave now. Too Tall, Tom Shaman.